Yeah, morning Trace. We hurtle into month end, and most of the banks that I've seen in terms of their models are suggested buy dollars as we rebalance. I'm not sure that's the right trade if we do continue to see equity markets march on and we see further relief buying coming through. A lot of that obviously depends on the repricing of rates markets and this growth dynamic that everyone's focused on at the moment. You know, last week we saw yields on 2 years, for example, dropping from 317 down to 306. We saw 1 year forwards dropping or repricing about 29 basis points coming out of future rate hike expectations, and that's really led equity markets higher. Yeah, S&P futures closed on the highs on Friday up 3.5%. Good volume coming through at 1.56 million spoos. Probably like to see a little bit more, but ultimately the market, the tape was very bullish indeed. In fact, we've recouped or closed above that 10th of June gap. We've recouped about 50% of the drawdown that we saw between May and June. The question now is, can we push into 4,000 on the S&P futures? Can we push into the 50-day around 4,062? Certainly growth doing really nicely. The Nasdaq futures were up nearly 9% last week, so that's something we are watching. And we watch the fact that people are reducing their hedges. Now that does leave us a little bit more vulnerable. If you look at the put-call ratio, that's dropped down to 0.5. We've seen normalised skew really flattening out as well. And I guess a lot of it depends what happens in the rates dynamic as well. We've got our eyes firmly on commodity prices, you know, not just because they're so correlated, or crude's so correlated with break-even rates. I think the 20-day rolling correlation with break-even rates is about 90%. But also keep an eye on copper as that sort of growth proxy. It's had a big fall of late, but we're starting to see a bit of indecision, so maybe a bit of short covering playing through in the short term there as well. A lot depends on what happens with the dollar there. You know, the dollar's been driven by that repricing of rates, but the dollar index is down 4 of the last 5 days. It dropped about sort of 0.5%. We saw good buying in the NOK and the high beta currencies. Now, as we go into the week ahead, we've got our eyes firmly on the ISM manufacturing numbers in the US as well as China. We've got guys on core PCE, US consumer confidence and European consumer confidence. European CPI numbers could get a looking, and we've got the Sintra Forum playing through as well. So definitely something to keep an eye on. We are expecting Asia to open on the front foot today. The ASX 200 called up about 1.6%. Japan should follow suit. So another big week ahead. Growth and focus, trading with Pepperstone.